Welcome to the EOB podcast, where we talk about the weekend's box office and the new openings this week. I'm Ben No, and joining me is Sen Duong. Hey, Sen, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Let's jump right in. Furious 7.
What was your number last week?
My number, I was going low. I was saying 135 million.
Oh, 135?
Yes.
That's not low.
That's low. You had 140.
Really? I did have 140?
You had 140.
Wow, I thought I would be going like 160. Well, so I'm actually on target.
You were close. You were very close. It had an 143.6 million opening,
Wow.
which is the highest opening of a Fast and Furious movie.
Yeah, and the highest opening, by far the highest opening ever for the month of April.
Ahead of the Winter Soldier, Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Yeah, at 95 million.
Yes, and just below the Winter Soldier is Fast 5.
Oh, wow.
Another Fast and Furious movie.
Right. And worldwide, Furious 7 has already grossed 384 million in just this weekend. That's crazy. And that's without China, Japan, and a couple of the other, bigger markets. That's crazy.
Right. That is crazy. The thing hanging over this movie, right, is Paul Walker's death.
Are you saying that you're thinking that people are rushing out to watch this movie because it's the last, Paul Walker movie, or not because of him, or not just because of him?
People are gonna watch this movie anyway, right? But I don't think it's because his death that people would go out and watch it, right?
Well, here's the thing. I think it's somewhere in the middle because the series, since Justin Lin rebooted it with Fast and Furious 4, since he got the whole gang back together. I remember he had a meeting with Vin Diesel and he pitched in this whole long story, almost like how the Marvel movies, how like in Fast and Furious 4, in the end credits, they always tease you to the next one, to the next film. Since that film, the grosses have been higher and higher. The openings have been higher and higher. But, not this high. And the series was trending upwards and the fan base have been growing already. But I think Paul Walker's death added even more to it. Kind of like The Dark Knight. The first film, Batman Begins, barely broke 200 million overall because of Heath Ledger's death and because he did such a good job in the film. The Dark Knight did way better. The second film did way better than the first. The opening was like, crazy. I think it was like 160 million or something. I forgot, but it was high. It was really high.
Right.
And you just can't attribute that to just the film because the first Dark Knight wasn't. It was good, but it wasn't that huge of a hit. And I feel like Furious 7 is sort of like that. It has a lot of goodwill going for it. And, Paul Walker's death, those two together just, exploded at the box office.
It is kind of like the perfect storm, but then again, this is one of this rare franchise that each movie did better than the last. It was steady until this one. It was, but one of those franchises that's not based, it's an original franchise movie. It's not based on anything that came before it, right? And even with Furious 7, it was threatening to break 100. It opened it to 97 million.
Yeah, right. But it went from 100 to 143. It was a huge jump.
Right. So I guess like Walker's death might have added a couple million here and there.
No, I don't think a couple million. No. Even with Paul Walker's death, people were predicting 125. So they were thinking his death would add about 25 million or something like that to the take. But I think it added more. It's probably responsible for at least 20 to 30 million. It helps that the movie was actually very satisfying, just like Dark Knight was. Dark Knight, they were lucky that Dark Knight was such a good film and Heath Ledger did such a great job. And his death and that together just, turned Dark Knight into one of those weird films that at the time that broke 500 million domestically. And I feel like it's the same thing right here where they, number one, the film was very satisfying. It delivered what fans of the franchise wanted to see. And it's the last film that Paul Walker is in, and he did a decent job with whatever limited scenes he had.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm saying this is one of those franchises where they pick up new fans. And it's not just that's not just about Paul Walker's death. It's just that with subsequent films, and because it is so long, it tells like one whole story, and then people just want to see the story finish. It's not like an event film. Oh, let's go see Paul Walker's final film. And this is like we want to see how these characters' stories finish out.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's not just Paul Walker, but it's the combination of both. It's combination of the goodwill generated by Fast and Furious 4, 5, and 6.
Yes.
And Paul Walker's death together. So I think like Paul Walker isn't just responsible for a couple million. I think he's responsible for at least 20 to 30 million.
Oh, we're not disagreeing.
That's what I'm saying.
Right, we're not disagreeing.
right. That's what I'm saying.
All right. But anyway, it set the all-time April record opening. Reviews are great, 83% on Rotten Tomatoes. Cinema score is awesome as well, an A cinema score. I guess the only thing is like, is this movie front-loaded? Where like fans is it basically I'm saying, is it going to experience a huge drop in the second weekend?
Usually, when a film is well reviewed and it has a great cinema score, usually the drop off isn't that high. The drop off will probably end up in the 50% range because it opens so huge.
Yeah, which is normal for like.
So I don't think it's going to end up in the 60% range because of the combination of great reviews and great cinema score. Like usually a film like We'll Get Hard, which has poor reviews and poor cinema score, ends up dropping 60+%.
I'm reading that if this holds, that the movie might actually break 1 billion worldwide.
Yeah, I can easily see it breaking 1 billion because number one is the Fast and Furious franchise have done successively well in China, and I think Fast 6 was like, I think it might have done like 60+ million in China. And Fast 5 did like 30 million when 30 million is considered a huge hit in China. So I think this one will probably break 100 million in China alone. That's excluding Japan and Russia and some of the other bigger markets that this film hasn't opened in yet.
Right.
Unless it drops like a brick, 1 billion worldwide is very likely.
Yeah, man, I don't see this movie dropping because of the good reviews and the cinema score. It will carry this movie forward, and the next couple of weeks, it doesn't have a lot of competition.
Yeah, there's nothing until the Avengers 2.
Right. So which. Yeah, so it pretty much has the theaters all by itself.
It has a whole month by itself, pretty much, almost.
Yeah, it is. It's just you want to watch Fast and the Furious whether you want to or not.
Yeah. Yep. Until Avengers, and then we'll see what happens with Avengers.
Avengers. Oh yeah. I think that's gonna do well, right? This little known film, nobody.
Oh yeah. I think it might.
Yeah. But I have a feeling they'll do well. Okay, let's move on to number 2, shall we? Okay, Home. DreamWorks animation being distributed by Fox. Coming in number 2, experienced a 47% drop and 27.4 million, and it made 95.6 million so far. Which
is probably the best performing DreamWorks animated feature in the last probably 4 years, except for
I don't even remember because DreamWorks has so many duds. It's just bad news after bad news, It's like, another write down, layoffs. It's like I just read the news just to see how much they're gonna write down for each movie.
Yeah, and finally they have Home. DreamWorks have never been shy of producing sequels. So this isn't just one hit. This is a franchise.
They're not shy because they're just by themselves. Really, they don't have like these sub studios producing different movies for them.
Yeah, and with this, they have another franchise to mind, and all these merchandising.
Right, and this is a movie that both of us are not high on, right? You were predicting like 25 million opening. I was saying 15, quite low, but still, it's like I don't think anybody was predicting this movie to do well.
Right. And the only indication that I had was that my kids wanted to see it months before it opened, which is what we were for them. Okay, worldwide is at 179 million, which is pretty good. And DreamWorks animated features have always done well internationally, and that probably helps them a bit with the write-downs.
Right. Also, they're kind of like right now, even though it's not really on paper, but they are kind of like partially owned by Chinese companies.
They are.
Well, you know, they're like having production deals with China on Kung Fu Panda.
Oh, a lot of companies are having these co-productions, which is including Furious 7.
True.
Furious 7.
But I think DreamWorks more than any other because their movies depend so much on China. You know,
I'm not sure about that. Except Kung Fu Panda was the only one that sold 100 million.
Right, but you have to work with me here. I'm talking about later on, right? I mean, since they're in such financial trouble.
Oh, right, yeah.
And they only do these things, well, because the money that China brings, and because they needed that thing, so they're doing more partnerships with China. So, you know, maybe it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, they're definitely doing that.
Right.
On the other hand, every studio is trying to have these co-production deals with China because when a film is labeled as a co-production, they get 40% of the box office. 40 to 45% of the box office earning instead of the 25%.
Yeah, that's true, and they also get pretty much a release date in China, guaranteed release.
Yeah.
Instead of like, you don't know when they would release, or they would put limitation on it somehow.
Right. Yep. True. They're starting to crack down on it because the whole reason why they wanted to do the co-production deals is that these studios would hire Chinese talent. And so these Chinese talent will learn, what it's like to do, big productions in Hollywood, learn how to use special effects, learn how to produce better scripts and that kind of stuff. But lately, what they found out was that, like Furious 7's, Hollywood studios, or even Transformers did a better job because they actually hire Chinese talent. But they would notice
the movie also takes place in China as well.
Yeah. But I think films like Furious 7. Where there's no hiring of Chinese talent. There's like
it's just money, right?
It's just money. It's just a logo, So there's no exchange of talent. There's no Chinese talent going to Hollywood and learning how to better use special effects, for instance, or learn how to better, produce these big, massive 200 million films. That's why they want to crack down on it. Like, hey, if you want a co-production deal, you have to hire Chinese talent, either behind the camera, in front of the camera, or both.
Well, maybe they thought James Wan is a Chinese talent.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah. Yeah.
I think these crackdowns might be rare because I'm sure they want to get on the good side of the people who controls the film's destiny.
I'm not sure it's weird. It's something that they recently said they want to crack down on. Even Iron Man 3, I think they used it as an example because they said something about how, sure, they hire a couple Chinese talent, but they cut off their scenes for the international release, and it's only shown in the Chinese release.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's one of those things where they felt like Iron Man 3 basically went around and hire a couple Chinese talents, film a couple quick scenes, and only show it in China instead of worldwide. And in the worldwide release, they cut off all clips that involve, Chinese actors or actresses.
I think another thing that they want to do with these co-production deals is to paint, China in a better light. And if those scenes are cut, then they weren't able to achieve that.
Yeah, it is one of the goals, but they don't express it outright because they're
they want that
to everyone else. They just want these co-production deals because they want Chinese talent involved so that they can learn and so they can improve the Chinese film market. And this is when they specifically express it as like so that Chinese films can be eventually can be viewed around the world, and they can give people around the world a better image of China. And they explicitly said that's what they envy about Hollywood, because Hollywood films are seen all over the world. One of the ways that people know American culture is through these films. And so they feel like film is a great medium to improve China's image around the world.
Right.
So
right.
It goes back to what you say. Yeah.
Okay.
So what you say is kind of true. Yeah.
Okay. I think we talked enough about China.
Okay. Yeah.
So, all right. Let's move on to number 3. Get Hard.
Okay.
12.9 million. Second weekend, and it has almost a 62% drop off.
Yeah, and the total after 2 weeks is 57 million.
Mm-hmm.
At a budget of 40 million, it's going to be a hugely profitable film, but the drop-off is huge. And like we said before, when you have poor reviews and poor cinema score, which is poor word of mouth, you can expect this kind of huge drop-off. Usually, even when a film gets poor reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, if they have a good cinema score, it usually holds up decently well. Yeah. But when you have both, it usually means a big drop-off is ahead.
You expect that Will Ferrell comedy to do better?
Yeah, to hold up better, yeah.
Yeah, to hold up better, but yeah, not this one, apparently.
Yeah, and now it might have trouble breaking 100 million, despite such a huge, surprisingly high opening.
Yeah, which is okay, because the movie was only made for 40.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's move on to Cinderella, number 4, with 10.3 million, a 40% drop-off, which is not bad, and after 4 weeks of release, it's already made 167 million. I'm not sure there's much else we can say about it. We've been talking about it for the last 4 weeks. It's a huge hit.
The thing is, like, Disney has been doing these live action fairy tales, like with the Mad Hatter. I mean, Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah,
and Maleficent, all these things. So, there were doubts, but I guess what they're doing is correct.
Yeah, what they're doing is working pretty well so far.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the Divergent series, Insurgent.
Number 5.
Yeah, 10 million, 54% drop off. After 3 weeks, it's made a total of 103 million. It's dropping off quicker than the previous film, and the previous film made, I think, a total of 150 million. This might top, I only get to 120 or 130 max.
Divergent, I don't think it's really that big of a franchise anyway. I think the first movie surprised.
Yeah.
And then they made the second movie, but I was surprised that the first movie did that well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were surprised the first one did really well. But at the same time, when so few of these YA adaptations do well, having any movie that do 150 million total and open at 50 million is a hit, certified hit. But the thing with this is, with 2 more films to go, it seems like it's lost some steam. It's not holding up as well as, because most of these YA films, like the second film, usually open higher and does as well as the first. Whereas this one, it not only didn't open higher, it's also not holding up as well.
Right. So people check out the first movie, weren't impressed, and then come out for the second one. That's what it says.
Well, I'm not sure if they weren't impressed. They were probably just meh.
Yeah, same result, right? They didn't want to watch the second movie. It's like the first movie leads to the second one, and they say, "Oh, I'm not gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch Furious 7 instead." Or what?
I'm not sure about that though, because
I know there is already in its third week, but
if they didn't want to watch it, it wouldn't get another 50 million opening. It's just that I don't think it's drawing any fans outside of the fan base.
Well, exactly. It's front loaded, and the fans watch it, but outside of that, and it doesn't seem like it gained any new fans. Because it opened lower.
That's what I mean. The fans who saw the first film was out to see the second film, but it's not getting anyone outside of that. And it doesn't bode well since there's 2 more films.
Well, I guess Lionsgate decided with the first movie, saying, "Oh, huge opening, it's gonna do well. We're gonna decide to split the last book into 2 films."
Yeah, and and they upped the budget too. I think the first film, the budget was only 75 million. Now the budget is 110 million. So they might have to, if they want to be profitable, they might have to drop the budget down to 75 million again.
Yeah.
For the next 2.
I'm not sure if that's doable, but who knows? They might decide to. I don't think those 2 movies are in production yet.
Yeah, so, I think it's doable if they want to, because number one, they might film the next 2 films back to back, then they'll save a lot of money.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, and like the Minions movies, the first film would cost over 100 million, and then despite it doing surprisingly well, the second film they lowered the budget to 75 million. So it's doable if they want to.
True.
Yeah. And if being two films, they can film them back to back and save a lot of money.
There's still the international market, so it's not all is lost, right? So,
yeah, that's true. Overseas has already made 120 million.
Yeah. I mean, the first movie overseas, it made 137 million. So it's
so it's doing
better.
So it's making up for it overseas. And you know what? By the end of its run, it might worldwide it might make more than the first film, which throws what we just said, out the window. Because then if it makes a lot more worldwide, they'll keep on throwing more money at it.
That's true. But then again, you get less money worldwide, even though it opens bigger, right? But if it does well here, they get more money here.
Yeah, sure.
So the money figure are not always equal.
Okay, let's move on to number 6. It Follows, the indie horror film. They added 400 plus theaters. They made 2.5 million with a 35% drop off, which is not bad. And it's made a total of 8.5 million. I remember reading the budget was only 2 million for It Follows.
It's pocket change, horror movies, and no names,
yeah, exactly. And for a horror film, a 35% drop off is really good, because horror films traditionally drop off 60 to 70%. So a 35% means there's actually word of mouth, even though we're talking very small numbers here.
Right. Normally with horror films, they just put it out there, try to get as much money as you can, and then they just drop theaters the second weekend. But this movie, it actually expand.
Yeah,
they open limited, and then say, hey, we got something here, and then they added more theaters. So there must be something to this movie, right? So like you say, word of mouth.
Right. I think the tomato meter is 95%. I'm curious. Usually horror films don't rate that well. All right. Should we move on to number 7?
Okay, number 7, Woman in Gold. Weinstein released 2 million, and it's only opened in 258 theaters.
The per screen average, is almost 8,000 per screen, which is kind of decent but not great.
It's okay because it did better than some of the couple wide releases, on a per screen average basis. Right?
The thing is, with limited releases, the per screen averages tend to be a lot higher. Mm-hmm. And I guess 258 screens is a decent amount, so I guess 8,000 is kind of okay. Like you would expect for an indie film that it would be higher, but
normally they open in the 10K range or so.
Yeah, right.
The movie starred Helen Mirren, Ryan Reynolds, Katie Holmes, Max Iron.
Decent amount of stars.
And movies that you don't expect to open huge, except maybe for Ryan Reynolds. He kind of fell off the map. Yeah,
after the not the Green Hornet, the
Green Lantern.
Yeah, after the Green Lantern.
And then R.I.P.D. I think those movies traumatized him.
Yeah, especially R.I.P.D.
Yeah,
that was like an out-and-out bomb.
Right.
At least the Green Lantern, despite what everyone says about it, despite the negative reviews, it opened to 50+ million, which is pretty good.
And he's also Deadpool?
Oh, Deadpool, okay.
Or he was.
He was.
He was he was Deadpool in X-Men Origins, but then again, we don't know where that movie's going. It's certainly in development, but I'm not sure it's going to get made anytime soon. And he's getting up there in age, and I'm not sure if they would choose him to play the character should it happen. So anyway, he's hiding in indies now.
Okay, all right. And speaking of comic book movies,
yes.
Let's move on to number 8.
Number 8, Kingsman: The Secret Service, 1.7 million in its 8th week, and it has made 122 million overall.
Yeah, and this is the first time we've seen it drop off more than 30%. It actually has a 43% drop off.
Well, but then again, like it's competing with the same kind of audience as Furious 7, so the drop off is expected because, like, hey, Furious 7, Kingsmen.
Yep, that's right. Let's see how much it's made worldwide. Worldwide, it's already made 370 million. That's pretty good.
Yeah, certified hit. Kingsman 2.
And 3.
Yeah.
Kingsman 2.
We'll see. We'll have to see.
They're gonna take the third one and break it into 2 movies.
Right. Yeah, but we'll see how the second movie do before we plan the third movie.
Right.
Right. Yes. I don't think we can say anything more about this since this is 8th week.
Yeah. And let's move to number 9. Do you believe the Christian film?
Right, 1.5 million in the third week, 35% drop off, and it is closing in on 10 million.
Yeah, it's kind of holding up surprisingly well in the weeks because when it first opened, we were like, it's gonna drop off quickly, but it's
that true, but you didn't believe in the movie. I did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. So it looks like it will break 10 million. They'll probably end up making a decent profit, but still, it's not nearly as big of a hit as we were expecting from the, that time when every one of these movies are opening at like 20 plus million and end up making like 50 plus million.
Well, if you count like Exodus, Gods and Kings, or
Noah, but those aren't really in the same genre because these other ones are more like Do You Believe? They're kind of low budget films that
Right.
Because Noah was kind of if you see it's kind of a offshoot. It's like I don't think Christians were happy with it because it's more of a fantasy film. It took the Bible as like a fantasy story and created a fantasy film out of it. And Exodus, Gods and Kings was kind of like it's almost like the Dark Knight. They try to make the unbelievable believable.
Wait, Exodus kind of bombed, didn't it?
It in relation to its budget, it kind of bombed. Yeah.
Let's see. It made for 140 million, made 268 million worldwide, but it only made 65 domestic.
Yeah.
Better overseas.
Luckily it has the overseas market. So it's not an out-and-out bomb. It's just kind of disappointing. With the worldwide grosses, and video, they might eventually be in the black.
All right, let's move on.
All right, let's move on.
All right, number 10, the second best exotic Miracle Hotel made an estimated 1 million fifth week, and it made 30 million so far.
Yeah, at a budget of 10 million, so it did pretty well. Although compared to the first film, the first film made nearly 50 million.
I believe so.
Yeah, so it's kind of disappointing, but they're gonna make money on it.
It's really cheap to make, and I'm sure that if they make a third movie, I think it's gonna make similar amount, if not more.
You think there'll be a third one?
It can. I mean, they're not losing money.
They're definitely making money on this one. Right. But I wonder if they feel like there's enough goodwill to make another one.
I think there is.
Yeah.
This is one of those movies where it's all about the characters.
I think at the end of the day, it's like it's based on the money. So if they feel like if they spend another 10 million and crank out another one, and let's say the next one they only make 15 to 20, do they think that's worthwhile?
I think so, because it's not just about theatrical money anymore, right? There's there's
overseas and there's video.
Overseas videos, and then movies that you put on airplanes for people to watch. So
So you think there'll be a third one?
I'm not sure.
All right. I don't think there'll be a third one because I feel like I think the drop off might be a little bit higher than they expected.
That's true, but I'm saying if they have another story, and it's good, I don't see a reason why they wouldn't want to make it. Because it's so cheap to make, and again, it's profitable.
Yeah, but my bottom line is, do you think they'll make a third one?
I don't think
they always can, but will they?
I don't think so.
Okay, yeah, exactly. I don't think so either. Now, if this made like 40 million, they'll definitely crank out a third one.
Right.
But at 30 million and topping off at around 30 million. I don't think so.
So it stops at 2.
Yes, yeah. Anything pops out at you?
Oh yeah, the American Sniper is just like below the top 10 at number 11.
Oh, okay.
Like 625K, but it won't cross 350. It's at 346 right now.
Right.
Run All Night, number 12, just below that, 615K. So far, it's 25 million.
Worldwide, it's only made 45 million, but it hasn't opened in some of the bigger markets yet. For instance, like China and Japan and.
But that's true. But you see a general trend here is that it's not huge anywhere.
Yeah, it's not super huge anywhere. The thing is, Tekken 3 just opened in China in the last couple of weeks, and it did pretty well. It's probably the Tekken brand. So I'm wondering. I think Tekken 3 did 30 million in China after 2 weeks, which is pretty good. I'm curious to see how it does when it has a worldwide expansion, or will it?
I think sometimes you can see the general trend that even if it opened big, it's like lower than what would happen if it's like bigger here.
Yeah, you might be right, because the Gray, despite doing decently well domestically, it made 51 million. In the foreign markets, it only made 26 million.
These things feed on itself, like, oh, this movie like made whatever overseas, like overseas meaning here,
yeah.
and then it feeds into the advertising campaign. Word of mouth, people are talking about it, people are excited about it. It's global now, right?
Yeah. Although non-stop. Yeah, you're right. It depends on it seems like if it does well domestically, it'll do well in foreign markets. Because Non-Stop did 92 million domestically and made 130 million overseas. So maybe you're right. Maybe that might be as good as it gets.
Yeah.
It might not even get a release in China.
One of these rare duds for Liam Neeson.
It's the same thing with A Walk Among the Tombstones. It seems like it did 26 million domestically, and overseas it only made 26 million too.
Yeah, but Walk Among Tombstone is more like an indie movie, so it's not really a Liam Neeson brand action movie.
Yeah, and it seems like it might not open in some of the bigger markets.
Okay, speaking of Liam Neeson genre, The Gunman, made 371 in its third weekend. It cracked 10 million.
When Liam Neeson can make a Liam Neeson movie successful, it's not a good sign for copycats.
Right, especially Sean Penn playing
Right.
Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
Hitman. It's time to talk about this week's opening.
Is there only one ride released?
There's only one ride released, The Longest Ride. Just like last week, Furious 7 has the theaters all by itself. And of course, counter-programming to...
What is The Longest Ride about?
Oh, you'll be surprised. Okay. What is the perfect counter-programming for a testosterone-fueled action movie?
Oh, okay.
Who do you think would make the perfect foil?
Oh, is it another Nicholas Spark movie? Oh, it is.
Right on.
It is. Starring a bunch of people that I don't. Starring a bunch of
B-list actors.
B-list actors.
Eastwood, Britt Robertson, Jack Houston, Melissa Benoist, Alan Ada.
All right, let's get to it. Okay, what's your number?
I don't know, but let me talk about the movie first, okay?
Okay.
This movie is based on a Nicholas Spark novel, I guess. Nicholas Spark. And the thing I noticed about Nicholas Spark's movie is that the camera lingers on the male body for a long time.
Oh, okay.
When you see movies that are made for guys, the camera lingers on a woman's body.
Right. Okay.
This one, and others of its ilk, they linger on the male's body. You see shirtless guys, they're perfect abs, torsos, right?
Right.
Biceps.
Right.
And they're almost always, there's a wet scene, lakes, showers.
Okay.
And it's always the guys that I noticed. The women are secondary.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, because in the poster, I see the guy's pegs, but I don't see the woman's bosoms.
I know. See, that's what I'm saying. So if you want to see those, they're not in this movie.
And they even Photoshop his biceps, because look, you see his bicep on the poster? The one on the left arm? That's a Photoshop bicep, because when your arm's resting in that position, it doesn't make, even if you're flexing, it doesn't do that. You know how they Photoshop posters? This one looks like the bicep's been given more detail, because it's not natural unless he... for him to be in that position and flexing his abs, unless he's in the Avengers, then it makes more sense. And his pecs are in the shape of a breast. They're kind of doing to him what poster artists are doing to a woman. I mean, geez, like the title covers up the woman's breast area and shows clearly the guy's pegs. And they even shine the light on his peg so that it's, there's a huge contrast between his peg and the arm behind, so you see his peg. So I know what you're saying now. It's really obvious when you look at it.
Right. And the last Nicholas Sparks movie, The Best of Me.
Yeah, it didn't do that well.
Yeah, it's pretty much James Marsden, right? It's a James Marsden movie. This one,
there's not even James Marsden. There's not even James Marsden. So
it's pretty much Scott Eastwood and how hot he is, right?
Yeah. So what number are you thinking about?
I am gonna go with The Best of Me. It's gonna be similar to opening to The Best of Me, and I'm thinking somewhere between 10 to 15. And no disrespect to Scott Eastwood. Is it Eastman or Eastwood? Eastwood, yeah, Scott Eastwood. I think he's the son of Clint Eastwood, right?
I don't know.
Well, anyway, let's say he is.
Okay, all right. Let's give him more box office power.
Right. So I don't think he's at the level of James Marsden, right?
Yeah, and James Marsden is not at a level where he can open movies.
Exactly. So I'm going to go 10 to 15, maybe on the lower end of that for the longest ride.
Your logic doesn't make sense. If James Marsden can only open a movie in the 10 million range,
right?
What makes you think a lesser James Marsden can also open a movie at 10 million?
Who says it have to make sense? Okay. This is between Furious 7 and The Longest Ride.
If Scott Eastwood is not at the level of James Marsden, I think I'm putting it at 5 million or less, maybe even 3 million.
You might be right, but I'm just saying, okay?
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Couples, they're out dating, and the guys say, "Let's go watch Furious 7." Right?
Mm-hmm.
The girl would say, "Nah, let's go for The Longest Ride. I want to watch a romance."
It seems like Nicholas Sparks movies are getting kind of like they're at the more like the cheesy level now. There was a time when Nicholas Sparks movies, they do really well, and it's not cheesy to say let's go watch a Nicholas Sparks movie. But I think now even for women it might be cheesy to say, hey, let's go watch a Nicholas Sparks movie, and that's why maybe we're seeing that downward trend on his films.
Well, the thing is, like, I'm no Nicholas Sparks expert, but I recently become aware of his movies. But you see the movies; they seem to have like similar structures. So I think they might be getting bored of the formula. Like, there's always like the past and present, right? There's always this old guy who tells a story about past romances, and then in the present day, there's this other couple that's kind of following the same, path that this old guy was going. So it's the same, like similar to like The Notebook, similar to The Best of Me, and then it's like the same in The Longest Ride, is where there's Scott Eastwood and Britt Robertson. They're having this romance, and then there's this old guy who's lying in bed dying. And then he's recalling his other romance, his love of his life, his wife who died or whatever,
Right.
They follow like similar things. So it might be like people might be getting tired of this formula.
I think they are. That's why I'm thinking 3 to 5 million. I'm thinking 3 to 5 million. You're thinking 10 million, right?
That low, 3 to 5 million?
Yeah, because if James Marsden can't even barely did 10 million, I don't think Scott Eastwood, who's not a draw at all, can do 10 million.
Normally I would say you are right, but I guess I'm giving the movie the benefit of the doubt because there's nothing else in theaters other than Furious 7 and The Longest Ride. and it's opening in over 3,000 theaters.
Wow, 3,000?
3,300 theaters, so it's everywhere. So it's like the perfect counter programming. I'm not sure, like you, I'm not sure about Scott Eastwood's box office draw.
But Nicholas Sparks, although Nicholas Sparks have been kind of on a downward spiral though.
True, but that's why I'm saying it might open similar to The Best of Me.
All right, we'll see.
I'm saying 10 to 15, but you might be on the lower range.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
But I think if this open in a 3 to 5 range, it would be safe that we probably won't see any more Nicholas Sparks films in theaters.
I think that's a good thing.
But maybe direct to video.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. I could make it through the first 10 minutes of The Notebook.
Yeah, I think you only need one Nicholas Sparks movie, but somehow because there are like 50 Shades of Grey now taking over the Nicholas Sparks movie. Nicholas Sparks novels.
Right.
They've moved on to something more hardcore.
Oh, okay, right.
Okay. No longer.
These are too vanilla for them now.
Yeah,
they need something. They need a little bit more.
Right, the abs, the wet T-shirt, those things.
They need whips. Those things are in the past. They need whips now.
Yeah. They need
to slap each other around and punch each other in the face and.
Right. Okay.
Let me take a quick look at the Nicholas Sparks brand at Box Office Mojo.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of at a steady. It's interesting because it's a very steady downward spiral. Because the Notebook did 81 million in 2004. Dear John did 80 million. Safe Heaven did 71 million. The Last Song did 63 million. The Lucky One did 60 million. Message in a Bottle 53. Nights in Rodin 42. A Walk to Remember 41. And then The Best of Me 26. So it's kind of a steady decline. Although there's a huge drop from A Walk to Remember to The Best of Me. So that's why I'm thinking 3 to 5.
Which seems low to me, but who knows?
Yeah, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. If it does 3 to 5 million this week, then it's pretty much, it could be the end of the Nicholas Sparks movie in theaters.
Right.
Unless.
Yes?
Unless they get Ryan Gosling or Channing Tatum to do one.
I think Channing Tatum is already doing. I think that's called like.
Well, he did
Magic
John.
Mike. Yeah, Magic Mike.
Oh, okay. All right. I see.
Mike.
I see. Right.
Yeah. He's writing his own Nicholas Sparks movie.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
And Ron Gosling, I don't know what he's doing. He's doing all these indie things. He doesn't want to be this action hero or whatever movie star.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
He wants to be an actor.
Well, he's always been kind of that though. He's always been in the indie film.
He could be more, but I guess he just wants to practice his craft. I guess he doesn't want to be known, as a movie star.
Yeah, although when we read during the Sony hack, it seems like his agent was trying to pitch him to what's her name, Amy Powell.
You mean the Sony head?
Yeah.
Oh, Pascal.
Amy Pascal, yeah. Although it seems like from the emails, his agent was trying to pitch Ryan Gosling to Amy Pascal as a character in a comic book movie.
Oh.
Yeah, so I think his agent is trying to put him in more mainstream stuff, but maybe they just don't. Maybe these studio heads just don't see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe when he's older, he does have a baby face.
Yeah,
Maybe when he's older, I guess he might be more successful, like the Liam Neeson's, the Robert Downey Jr. So.
Right. Although he has done a few action films like Drive that were critically, like Drive was really well reviewed and it did decent at the box office, but it didn't explode.
No.
And Gangster Squad did pretty well.
Yeah, he could do those movies.
Yeah, he could. He has a pretty big range, it seems. He hasn't had a big monster hit in an action film, but I guess The Notebook was probably his biggest hit so far.
Yeah, I think it's Remember the Titans, like his first movie, but still.
Yeah, that's true. But maybe The Notebook was his first
starring role. I mean,
yes.
Remember the Titans was a Denzel Washington movie, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's get back on track. 3 to 5 million for the Longest Ride. You're saying 10 million, and we'll see whether or not there'll be more Nicholas Sparks films in the future.
Well, I think there will be more Nicholas Sparks movie. It's just that the structure might not be the same. It might be more whips, like you say. More slapping, more leather.
They might update that to include those things.
Right.
Although I thought it was funny that once you mentioned how in Nicholas Sparks films they focus more on the male character, when I finally realized, I look at the poster, I'm like, whoa, that's true. They do focus more on the guy than the woman.
Yeah, you go back and see it, and those things will become evident.
Yeah, because I'm like, wait a minute, his biceps will unnaturally flex, and his pecs will have direct sunlight, and they had high contrast in his other arm to show off his peg. And on the woman, they cover everything up.
Yes. It's not about the woman, it's the guy. So it's just...
Yeah, they even moved the title out of the way to make sure his pegs are nice and contrasty.
Yeah.
I'm curious at the notes that the poster designer has to go through, from the executive. They're like, hey, move the title out of the way, make sure the front and center, his peg is front and center, add more detail to his biceps.
Right.
Even though it's kind of unnatural, because when you look at the poster, he's kind of flexing, but it's kind of a tender scene.
Yeah, you think there would be a he's holding a barbell, like the way
it's almost like it looks like he's holding a barbell that's been cut off.
Right. Okay. All right. So we'll see how.
We'll see next week.
The Longest Ride, how it would do. I guess that's more interesting than what Fear 7. How Fear 7 dropped, but okay. So more Nicholas Sparks movie or no? So we'll find out next week.
All right. See you guys next week.
Okay.